I can feel it coming the minute Henry grabs my leash, that extra bounce in his step as he says, "Ready, Frank? We're going to the beach." Now, as much as I try to play it cool, there's something about the word beach that lights a fire in my bulldog belly. The beach means endless sand, strange smells, and best of all, freedom. Well, as much freedom as you get on a leash in Brooklyn. Henry opens the car door, and I bound out, my paws hitting the sand like I'm some kind of four-legged beach conqueror. The sand's warm, gritty texture presses against my paw pads. Not to be dramatic, but it's kind of like stepping onto my own kingdom, a little paradise reserved just for Frank and his adoring subjects, also known as everyone else on the beach. The air is different here, salty, a bit damp, with hints of seaweed, which I learned after tasting it a few too many times that it's not as delicious as it smells. There's also that terrifying sound, the ocean. You'd think that after months of beach outings with Henry, I'd have come to terms with the whole waves crashing thing. But nope. Every time they rush toward me, I'm convinced they're out to get me. It's as if they've been lying in wait, building up all that energy just to pounce on poor, unsuspecting Frank. "Come on, Frank, it's just water," Henry says, laughing. He doesn't get it. Sure, he's taller, but it's not like he's the one staring down an entire wall of moving water. I shoot him my best, easy-for-you-to-say look before tiptoeing back up the shore. If there's one thing I can't stand more than the waves, it's those beady-eyed little sky demons that Henry calls seagulls. I have a personal vendetta against them, not because they've done anything directly to me, but because they're always around, mocking me with their obnoxious squawks. They're bold, too, these feathery bandits, sneaking up to steal snacks right out of people's hands. Henry thinks it's funny, watching me try to chase them off, but he doesn't understand. They're ruining my beach experience. "Frank, they're just birds," he laughs as I bark at them, practically leaping in their direction. I'd get one too, if it weren't for this darn leash. The moment I get a running start, they're up in the air, just out of reach, looking down at me like I'm some kind of ground-dwelling peasant. I can practically hear their little birdie laughs, but every so often, just for a split second, I feel like I could catch one. And let me tell you, if that day ever comes, those seagulls are going to regret every squawk they've ever thrown my way. The beach isn't just a place for me and Henry. It's where all my buddies show up too. There's Rocky, the scrappy Jack Russell who thinks he owns the beach. He doesn't, but I let him think he does. And then there's Lola, the golden retriever who loves everyone and everything. Rocky's a bit of a hothead, always challenging me to little races along the shore. He doesn't understand that I have a bulldog physique, which is definitely not built for speed. But hey, I humor him, chugging along in the sand while he darts around like some hyperactive sand flea. Lola's different. She's more into the whole frolicking in the waves thing, which, in my opinion, is just asking for trouble. Once, she tried to get me to join her, bounding in and out of the water, barking at me to come play. I inched toward the shore, considering it for a second, until another wave crashed down, reminding me why I steer clear of the water. She laughed, gave me a gentle nudge, and trotted back out as if the waves were just another part of the game. "Come on, Frank, you can do it." Henry cheers from behind, filming me on his phone as if he's witnessing some epic life moment. Maybe for him, but for me, it's more like survival. Now, let me tell you about the time I met my first crab. Oh, you'd think it was a cute little creature, something out of a cartoon or whatever. But no, this crab had claws of steel, and it was not interested in making friends. I was minding my own business, sniffing the sand, when I spotted it. A small, moving rock, or so I thought. I approached, ready to claim it as my own. Then, snap! This crusty little character lunged at me with its pincers, and let me tell you, I nearly jumped out of my skin. Henry, of course, found this hilarious. "Frank, you're afraid of a crab?" he snickered, pulling out his phone to capture my big encounter. "Excuse me, Henry, but have you seen those claws? They're like mini scissors, and I'm just not about that life." I gave the crab my best warning bark, a good solid woof to show him who's boss, and backed away, glaring at it from a safe distance. Since that day, I keep an eye out for anything scuttling along the shore. You never know what's lurking down there, ready to surprise you. Henry thinks it's funny, but hey, it's my dignity on the line here. Oh, the smells. If there's one thing I adore about the beach, it's the noseful of every imaginable scent. I'm talking salt water, rotting seaweed, some fish that's seen better days, and every possible snack someone left behind in the sand. To Henry, it probably all smells the same. He's not exactly gifted in the sniffing department, but to me, each whiff is like a story. There was that time I found what Henry called seaweed. He told me it was just some plant from the ocean, but I'm convinced it's more than that. Its scent is mysterious, rich, and a little intimidating. I took a big sniff, feeling like I'd just unlocked a new world of knowledge. Henry tried to pull me away, but no. I needed a few extra seconds to really understand this beach relic. I love the snacks best though. Chips, maybe a bit of sandwich, or even a forgotten hot dog bun. I find these treasures half buried in the sand like they were put there just for me. Henry doesn't let me keep most of them, but every once in a while he lets me savor a crumb or two. I think he understands the importance of these little moments. Then there was the time we stayed late for a bonfire night. I didn't know what a bonfire was, but I quickly learned that it's a giant stick pile that humans light on fire for fun. Seems risky if you ask me, but hey, humans are a strange bunch. Henry and I sat around with his friends, and I positioned myself close to the fire, just enough to feel the warmth, but far enough that my fur wouldn't singe. There was laughter, marshmallows, though Henry didn't let me have any, unfair if you ask me, and lots of people giving me head scratches. One of Henry's friends tossed a stick into the fire, and let me tell you, I had a small heart attack. Sticks are for chewing, not for burning, I barked, trying to tell them to stop, but they just laughed and patted me on the head. I glared at them, clearly unimpressed with their treatment of my beloved sticks. Henry just chuckled and told me to relax, it's okay. Fine, Henry, but let's not make this a habit, all right? There's one thing I think I'm probably the best at, digging. Henry doesn't appreciate my skill, but I know he's just jealous. One day, I decided to show off my digging prowess on the beach. Henry was lying back in his chair, probably thinking he could get a tan or whatever humans do when they just sit in the sun. So I figured it was the perfect time. I started slow, pawing at the sand, feeling the soft grains shift under my feet. Then I went faster, digging deeper, feeling like an excavation master. Sand was flying everywhere, onto Henry, onto his towel, and even into his drink. He yelped, brushing sand off himself, but I was in the zone. Nothing could stop me. I was halfway to China, or so I thought, when Henry pulled me away, muttering something about relaxing and ruining his towel. Fine, Henry, but one day I'll finish that hole, and you'll see. It'll be the greatest hole the beach has ever seen. Henry bought a beach umbrella one summer. At first, I thought it was a strange, colorful creature attacking us, so I barked and gave it a good growl to show it who's boss. Henry laughed, but I wasn't having it. This thing was big, blue, and trying to take over our beach spot. I was ready to defend our little piece of sand. It took some coaxing, but Henry finally got me to settle under the umbrella. And I have to admit, it had its perks. Shade on a hot day? Not bad. But I still kept a wary eye on it. You never know with these beach contraptions. They're shifty. I'd lay down, panting in the shade, but one ear stayed perked up, just in case it tried anything. By evening, when the sun starts to dip below the horizon, I usually settle down next to Henry, both of us watching the waves. This part, I'll admit, has a certain magic to it. There's no more barking, no more seagull chasing, just me, Henry, and the ocean stretching out as far as I can see. I don't know what Henry thinks about when he watches the waves, but for me, it's simple. I think about all the things that make the beach a place worth coming back to. The smells, the snacks, the sand beneath my paws, and the laughs I share with Henry. I might not be a fan of the waves, and I could do without the crabs, but I'd go anywhere as long as Henry's by my side. On the drive home, I'm usually exhausted, sprawled across the back seat, sand still clinging to my fur. Henry hums along to his favorite songs, glancing back at me now and then with a smile. I know that look. It's a look that says, today was a good day. And it was. Sure, the ocean might still be a bit too big and wild for me, and the seagulls might forever be my arch nemesis, but being there with Henry, taking on each new adventure, is what makes every trip worth it. As we pull into the driveway, I'm already dreaming of our next beach day. Because, as much as I hate to admit it, the beach has a way of growing on you. Or maybe it's just that Henry's there, making every wave, every seagull, and every grain of sand feel like it's part of one grand,